This week's WWE Raw was focused on the future, with Rumble winners discussing WrestleMania and people competing to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. Cody started the show discussing his journey, not talking too much about Roman until the very end of his promo. I would have liked a bit more to do with Roman, but I understand that we need to reintroduce Cody, and there's plenty of time to build the Roman match to come. Judgment Day would interrupt, and it did feel like Dominic was given a bit more time to talk. His delivery did sound a little wooden, and Judgment Day without Rhea really feel like something big is missing. Cody challenged one of them to a match, and our main event was set: Cody versus Finn Balor. Edge would attack once the promo had finished, begging the question, where had he been this whole time? First match was Seth Rollins against Chad Gable, winner qualifying for the Elimination Chamber, which we found out would be for the United States Championship. It was pointed out during the watch-along that the plan might be to have Seth win the Chamber, win the United States Championship, then defend it against Logan at WrestleMania. Not sure how you feel about that. It's not something I'm eager to see. Seth would win this match to qualify. Then, when he was asked about being eliminated by Logan at the Royal Rumble backstage, Seth just silently walked off. Iyo Sky would beat Candice LeRae with plenty of outside interference. Candice seemed to accidentally kick the ref in the face at one point. Next, we heard from Rhea, who announced that she will be facing Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Either champion would have guaranteed a big match, to be fair, but part of me really wanted that Rhea versus Bianca match. Next was Corbin against Johnny Gargano. JBL tried to interfere. Dexter then threatened him with an axe. An axe. That allowed Johnny to get the win and qualify for the Chamber. Next was probably the worst part of the show, the VIP lounge with MVP and Theory. MVP just wasn't threatened by Theory, and I think he should have been. Theory should be viewed as a threat. These two would exchange verbals, but nothing that memorable. Eventually, Bobby came out and he accidentally speared MVP instead of Theory. All in all, this was a bit flat. Next, we had The Miz, who was upset about last week and not having more time on Raw is 30. Adam Pearce came out and told him that he was going to have a match now and introduced Rick Boogs to Raw. I really like Boogs. He needs better ring gear, probably a better name as well. But if booked correctly, he could go to the top of the cards. That's probably quite a distance in the future, though. Boogs won after chucking Miz around. Miz's shoes would even fall off at one point, and he was having to wrestle in a $10,000 suit. Backstage, we saw Maximum Male Models on Raw. Their YouTube videos are pretty funny if you haven't seen them. They could work really well on Raw as like the comedy act. They were checking out Otis. Could he be their next recruit? Highlight of the show was Bayley and Becky. Bayley said, "I don't like you, Rebecca. You're overrated. You're not good enough to be in the ring with me. You're not even good enough for your husband. He only married you because he knocked you up." Becky then forced a steel cage rematch for next week after threatening Dakota with a steel chair. Next, we found out the Women's Elimination Chamber will determine Bianca's WrestleMania opponent. The final four of the Rumble, excluding Rhea, of course, all qualify. So that's Nikki, Raquel, Asuka, and Liv. Next week, there's going to be a fatal four-way to determine one of the other entrants. So Carmella, Michin, Candice, and Piper Niven all compete for that spot. But we never heard what happens with the final spot. So don't know what we're getting there. There was also no sign of Alexa. That was also quite strange. Chelsea Green interrupted, saying she wasn't happy with her accommodation. Fightful have reported she's going to play an annoying Karen-type character, and that was quite evident here. Next, we got Bronson Reed versus Dolph Ziggler, with Bronson winning. I was distracted by this sign, which Twitter tells me translates as head of the table, which was a bit disappointing, to be honest. Backstage, we saw Carmella and Asuka. Asuka looked great in smart clothes. No dancing around, no crazy energy. I do love all that, but this was different. She just smiled and dribbled green goo. I'm a little bit worried they might be making her supernatural or giving her supernatural elements. Maybe they're trying to imply she's got the ability to create the green goo. I really hope not. Her presentation in NXT was perfect. Just go back to that. We'll have to see. Hard to know where this is going. Then we found out next week we get Montez versus Elias and Dawkins versus Priest for the next Chamber qualifying matches. Main event saw Cody and Finn wrestle a fun match. Just wish it was at a premium live event rather than crammed into the last 20 minutes of Raw with adverts. Edge and Beth would come down to deal with Judgment Day, and that allowed Cody to hit 3 crossroads and get the win. Overall, the show was pretty standard. Nothing that special. Lacked big OMG moments, but there was still enough here to ensure it wasn't a disaster. I score this as 6-2-5.